Good day, podcast community. Pete Kane here, Podcast Pete, and certified lifestyle coach. And we're going to talk to a person that has put her passion, her life into coaching, and we're going to understand a little bit more of her story. So, Nuria, tell our viewers who you are, what you do, and who you serve, and then we'll get into your story.
Well, thank you for hosting me, Pete.
My pleasure.
So I'm Nuria. I was born in Barcelona, but I'm living in Vancouver, Canada. I'm a transformational coach that helps individuals to reconnect with their inner power, their light, and their inner truth in order to help them to thrive in life. So I'm using somatic techniques as well as coaching sessions. I'm specialized as well as a grief coach. So I work with people that are going through transitional moments in their life, not only because of a loss of a loved one, but because maybe they are going through a moment of change that it's difficult to integrate. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
You know, I had a guest on a couple weeks ago, and she went with a friend to Bosnia, and this was, she's a Rotarian, so she was going on there for a trip to do certain things, and it was just an eye-opening experience about seeing a different culture, talking to people from a different part of the world. When you came from Bosnia and settled in Canada, what was that like to make that transition to a new country, a new culture?
Well, I don't come from Bosnia. I come from Barcelona.
Oh, Barcelona.
Yes.
Well, I have a friend that came from Barcelona, and he didn't speak one word of English when he came over here on a golf scholarship. So let me change. My dyslexia sometimes gets...
That's okay. That's okay. That's fine.
That is so good. So tell me, this is a different question. So I remember when Lucas, he joined our Rotary, and he had a sense of humor like I had never seen, because I had him on my podcast at least a half a dozen times, and I didn't see it. And so my first question after that was, Lucas, where did this sense of humor come from? And this is what he told me. He said, I learned to think in English in a more comical way. So my question is, like, what language do you think in? Do you have a preference?
Well, I would like also to answer the previous question, but I will start with this one.
Okay.
I speak 4 languages. I am, and it's been 14 years that I don't live in Barcelona anymore. Okay. I've been living in different countries. I married with a Frenchman. So I think in French, I think in English because I'm living in Vancouver. Mm-hmm. I think in Catalan, which is my mother language, and Spanish is there as well because I'm completely bilingual. I was born bilingual. Well, now I'm multilingual. So I can't tell you. It depends. It can change. Okay. Yeah.
What was it like 14 years ago when you moved from Barcelona? That first foot on a different soil, different country?
Well, I just had given birth of my second daughter. And in fact, I love to travel. I had been traveling with my husband before, and I had already lived in France and UK. So it was not new for me. I really wanted to move out from Barcelona, and he just got an offer to work in Switzerland, and he told me, well, how do you feel about that? And I said, yes, let's do it. So we moved we started our trip around the world with our 2 daughters that were babies at that moment. and it was fine. I mean, the beginning, it's exciting. It feels like holiday, like especially us that we like adventure and discovering other countries. And then fortunately, we were speaking several languages already, so it's easy. But anyways, I didn't speak any German when I moved to Switzerland, and I had to learn. So it's fun for me. It was fun. But then, of course, after a while, problems can come, or insecurities, or every country, every culture has its own way to communicate, which can be a bit different from ours. So we just learn how to communicate, how to adapt. And you know what? Finally, in every place in the world, there are beautiful people. In every place. We are all the same.
Yes.
We just have different ways to communicate.
Yes. I love that. And I totally agree with you. What do you think when, because the way the psychologists will say, like, we learn so much between ages 1 and 7 that shapes our belief system. When your husband said, "Hey, Switzerland, what do you think?" There's some people that would say, you know what? I don't know about that. What do you think growing up in that younger age gave you that kind of sense of adventureness, or that discover something new? Was it something you can pinpoint a little bit in your early age, when you're 2, 3, or 4?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that my dad loved to travel. So
Okay.
maybe he just transmitted that to me unconsciously. And I've always been eager to do new things, and I'm adventurous. It's my way of being, and open to, I don't know. I don't really know, but nothing happened, really. Nothing important happened.
No, when they said that, it was like, I'm trying to think back into my early years, and I'm a risk taker. I love adventure. And so I don't know, and grew up with 6 kids. I mean, so maybe it was just competing in the family. I don't know what it was. But what do you think, like, when you decided that you were going to lean into coaching, what was the motivation at that time?
Yes. So when I came to Vancouver, it was like almost 5 years ago, 4.5. I started to reinvent myself. And I started by doing healing through Reiki, which is energetic healing through the hands. And then I did other things like Akashic Records reading. So I was very in the spiritual field. And at one moment I said, well, I'm kind of being a coach with all these people. So I need some structure, because I'm really enjoying to hold space for people, but I need some structure and some guidance to do things, not from the intuition, but also from the mind, like. And that's what moved me. And then I got my certificate, and it was fantastic because I was on one way grounded with the structure, and then connected to the intuition. So yeah, both match very well.
Before I had a stroke, I had a small digital marketing business, and we had 5 people, and I didn't know really. I would always talk with clients, and there was old saying 50% worked and 50% didn't, and you got to figure out which works. And there was a sense of, I got to build a website, I got to do this, I got to do all this stuff. And I would say, it doesn't matter one iota if you don't have demand for your business. You can have the most beautiful website and all this stuff, and you're just going to have like a billboard in the desert, and nobody's going to see it. So what do you think when you look at coaching? How do you create demand for what you do?
Well, first of all, I'm sorry about your stroke.
Oh, it
And
was a thing. I mean, yes, I don't do certain things, but I had 49 days to think, and that was the best thing, and a second chance. So it turned into
exactly,
a blessing. Wasn't really when I was sitting in the hospital with half a body, but there's always silver linings to everything. But thank you.
definitely. And you look great. Yeah.
I feel
Okay.
great. Yeah.
So, yeah. What was the question? How do
So
I?
you start your coaching business and you're creating demand for what you do. What was one thing you could share with our community that helped you really have people recognize what was possible through your coaching?
I think that my light, my energy is very soothing for people and very helpful. I know how to hold space. It's simple as that.
Mm.
I know, I'm aware of that. It's not about website, as you say, or how to do more marketing on Instagram, or it's more about my presence.
What do you think? Because I like Seth Godin, and he was talking about in the world of AI, there's so much changing, but what never changes is what people and how they tell your story. So if I'm talking to a client, what kind of story are they telling me about you?
That I know how to hold space. I
Mm,
have a very vibrant energy. Um, that I'm not judgmental,
hmm
and I'm very nourishing. Just with my voice and my presence is very nourishing. And yeah, that I know how to give space.
hmm
And so, yeah.
What do you think? Because this was about 2 years ago, and I had a lady from Sicily on my program, and she was a third generation photographer. But she, when she was getting into podcasting, this was probably her first year or two, she saw a reluctance of her female guests not wanting to put themselves out there. So now she coaches people to be comfortable and use when you're in front of a camera, to be yourself. What did you have any reservation about putting yourself out there?
Yes, definitely. You tell me that I'm speaking today a year ago, and I wouldn't have believed that.
Really?
Really?
Oh,
Yes.
I love it. That is so great. So how did you do it? What was the trigger, or what was that like moment where you said, I'm going to do it?
Well, I about a year ago I started my training as a quantum flow guide, which is quantum flow is mixing breath work with movement with it's a somatic practice, and it's
Mhm.
balancing the nervous system. So through this practice, we unblock all the self-limiting beliefs, the subconscious mind, all the inner narrative that like all this that we are not worthy, all
Mhm.
these things that are blocking us from thriving. So I started my practice, and in a few months, I just say, let's do it. Because I knew that I was able.
Yeah.
My mind knew it, my heart knew it. But I said, oh, no, no. I don't speak even in English, which is not my mother language. And that's okay. I mean, it's not a problem for me. But I was, yeah, like, yeah, I just felt it. It was the right time. And yeah, I've got a lot of support around me as well. I've met
Ooh,
beautiful people. And
yes.
all this is about healing. In order to thrive, we first need to bring awareness to our own reality, be present
Mhm.
with it, accept it, heal, whatever needs to be healed. And then, yes, let's go out there and thrive and serve.
Yes. Before I had to learn how to breathe, talk, and I never realized the power of breathing. And now I meditate, I journal, I do all things I never saw the benefit until I slowed down. And I literally was forced to slow down, but I'm glad I did. So tell our viewers, the ones that are very reactive, very like jump into the day, checking their emails and get into that busy, kind of explain what breathing and what you do really helps that day and helps them lead a healthier life.
Well, first of all, through this practice, breathing, with journaling, we learn how to be more present. Whenever we are more present in our lives, we are more peaceful. We are not living in the future or in the outcome. Like today, I have to do this. It's just okay. Yeah, we need a list, we need a program, a structure, but let's enjoy the process. And by enjoying the process, we are more open to receive beautiful things.
Yes.
And our lives becomes more fun and joyful and peaceful. That's what we all want. We want peace.
Yes. I don't know if it's up in Canada, if this is true, but down here, the average American watches 4 hours of TV and scrolls like 2.5 hours of TikTok videos or something like that. They're consuming other people's lives instead of creating their life. How do you challenge yourself each day to create?
I know that I need to stay by myself. I meditate twice a day for 20 minutes, one in the morning. I don't care if I sleep less, but 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the afternoon. And this is like resetting my nervous system. And it's fantastic. If I don't have a space and like all the family is there, I just go in the car and I just meditate. That's it. Yeah. And I mean, it's just finding a space to be. Or, I mean, I live in Vancouver. We have amazing nature nearby. And I just go in nature and I sit in the grass or on a rock and I just stay there and I observe whatever is around me.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that is, I am discovering just what you shared. A friend of mine told me about this app that identifies birds by their sounds. So I go on the porch and that's when I write and I meditate and I just do my thinking. And, you can hear the birds and you can actually look at when they're making a sound, you'll see it go back and forth. So they're communicating with each other and you see the type of birds they are and you're going like, whoa. And that was like, there was the other day, it was 18 different birds were making noises. And you're right. It just gives you a grounded, being present in the moment. It's absolutely a higher level of, I guess, mindset that I've never really experienced till the last few years. I want to share, I did this. So I didn't drive very much because sound and the night lights and stuff would bother me. So I was either doing a podcast or creating content. So I would go out, but I would, a friend would pick me up or something like that. Well, I rented a cyber truck for a day, picked up my granddaughters, hung out with my family, and experienced a presence driving that I never knew was possible. I picked up my daughter. I gave her a cooking class for Christmas, my granddaughter, and it was way in the country, like way out there. And it was over at 7:30, and it was dark, back roads. I never would have been able to maneuver that unless I had self-driving. So I invested in a Tesla and went away for a wedding 10 hours. And I was so fully present during that time. I never realized how much you can see, enjoy, and just be part of, because when you're driving, you're always having to think about people, moving fast, and so being present. So tell our viewers, like, what does being present mean to you?
Being present. Okay, that's a good question. It's observe your inner being.
Mm-hmm.
Like how is our body, if something is hurting, like, or not. I mean, let's not focus on negativity, but how we are feeling. And if we are feeling, whenever I have some thought that it's bugging me, so I just sit with it and I feel it, because from the thought I come to my heart, so I feel it. Mm-hmm. And I stay there. And once I feel better, because whenever we feel our feelings, all these lower vibes are always dissipating. So then I'm more open to receive, which means if I open my eyes, I can see those birds, how they are hanging out, or just the grass, or just the mountains, or whatever is happening outside, just in my view. So it's being in the here and now, and present, aware of how I am, who I am, and without thinking of I have to do the dinner, or I have to,
Yes.
Just being there, calm and peaceful.
Ooh, I love that. What would you, so if you had to give advice to a 20-year-old self, knowing what you know, how would you advise her?
To my 20-year-old?
Yourself at 20 years old, what would you tell her that you know now, maybe coaching her, helping her? What would the advice be?
Wow. That's a difficult question to answer. I would say just be yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself. You're amazing. And shine your light. Don't be afraid to shine your light.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. I'm in Rotary, and this was a couple of years ago, and I'd ask people to be on my podcast, and they'd say, nah, that's not my thing. And what I discovered is people that serve, that don't need to be in the spotlight, they just want to serve. They think that when you're on a podcast, or they did, that you're being more of an influencer, like you're echoing out. But then I realized that if we don't shine out, the people that see that sunshine can't shine in. So the more they know you and what you're doing, and that the impact you're making in the community and the world, the ones that want to come alongside you can. But you don't need to be a best kept secret, because that's a recipe for, that never works. So what would you say, like, when you look at the world's changing fast, AI is coming in, and it's like, if you listen to some of this stuff, it's like crazy stuff. How are you using AI to be present, to be yourself, to be fully aligned, and not get too out in front of yourself?
Honestly, I don't rely on AI, only to, to structure my thoughts, maybe. But I don't rely on AI because they are not me.
Yes. Yeah, that my partner, who's Canadian, and he does AI, but he's very he loves people, loves, he writes books and all this. And he was telling me, like, this was 3-4 years ago. He goes, Pete, what are you doing with AI? I said, I don't want to. Look, I'm having a fun time. I don't have time for that. But growing up dyslexic and ADHD, I had the active brain and it processed differently, flunked more courses than I passed. And when I did my first course 3.5 years ago, I said, well, give me a framework, because I was going to put it all together in my voice and everything. And it did it in about like 5 minutes. I went, whoa, I couldn't have done that in 6 years, much less. Yeah. And so I did see some advantages to it, but we always talk about HI. Human intelligence will always be better than AI. So when you look at the future, what are you most excited about?
Oh, I have so much faith in humanity. I'm so excited because in the last few years, the consciousness, a lot of people are awakening, and they have been awakening. And so it's just, I can't imagine. I believe in humanity, that it's just, we will all be more healed and aware of ourselves, and be able to help each other, to collaborate, to think less in competition, and to be more aware of and to be able to listen to our inner guidance. And that's how we are going to thrive and to do beautiful things, to create beautiful things in the world.
Ooh, I love it. I mean, I could go on. And I love when, I had a gentleman that was referred, and when the guy referred me, he said, he's a little bit over the top. That's what I think he said. And it was the podcast. I don't think I asked more than 2 questions, because it was like he was on steroids, and it was like so much. And then I had a person from the Philippines, and she was very much like you, very precise with answers, very thought-provoking, thinking things through. And I can always tell when people are thinking and not just reacting too quick. What do you think, like, when you look at being aligned and your pace, when did you discover that? Because I've done 400 podcasts, and I can say you have a presence that's completely different than most.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. When did you discover that?
That I was in alignment?
Because we see ourselves from our eyes, so we never see it from other people's eyes. And I get a chance to have so many good conversations that you see patterns of things, and you see differences in things. Like, do people like share that with you, clients, people? Like, are you getting a perspective that you discovered that you had that superpower, holding space, being present? Those terms are not common terms.
Yeah, definitely. Well, first, it was thanks to this practice with quantum flow. I have got a lot of inner work before, but I was aware of my inner light before starting this practice. But quantum flow opened me up to share myself into the world, into the outside world, to share my light. So, and first thing was a feedback from my husband. He told me one day, after maybe it was 3 weeks of practice or 4 weeks, your voice has changed. Really? He told me. Yeah.
Wow. He noticed.
Yes. And then I was more peaceful. I was more joyful at home. And then, yes, I was able to carry and to welcome every experience, every surprise that I have got a lot of surprise in the last year in my life, and I've been able to welcome everything with love and presence. So yeah.
Ooh, that is so good. What do I have a morning routine and I do the same thing. What is your morning routine like when you start that day?
Oh, I have a lot of things. So first of all, gratitude.
Yes.
The metta meditation, this one that we start from the heart, and we share, we emanate this. So I do this metta meditation from bed. Then I go to the kitchen and I take my lemon water with hot water and to hydrate myself. And then I do yoga, my yoga practice, stretching, just 20 minutes or 25 minutes. Then I do quantum flow, 10 minutes. And then I do 20 minutes meditation.
Wow. I love it. I love it. So quantum flow, like I've never heard of that term. So I'm a newbie. So talk to me like what can I expect to receive and what kind of transformation outcome for a newbie? What would that be like? Because I do a lot of the other things. I hydrate, I journal, I meditate, I write and I read, but I've never done that. So talk me through what it would be if I added that to a routine. What would that look like?
So it's teaching us to be more present in our lives and to be able to observe our own reality. So by observing our own reality, we are able to see it from another perspective. It's when we are too connected to our emotions, we are not able to act in our lives with consciousness. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that it's going to release blockages from our subconscious mind that are stored in our body. And this has happened to me. Self-limiting beliefs out. Nuria, you are worthy. Nuria, you are worthy to share your truth. Yes. And then, it's just it's helping us to keep our vibration high. So whenever we keep our vibration high, we are always 24/7 manifesting in our lives, even if we are not aware of. So every thought is so powerful. So it's teaching us to take those thoughts that, oh, I'm not worthy. Oh, I'm not sure if I should do that. And switch. So it's reprogramming our subconscious mind, balancing our nervous system, and live our life from the heart, from an openness to receive, which is difficult. We are used and we are taught to give, and not taught to receive. Yes. So it's important as well to receive.
Yes.
Right? And to feel this gratitude. So it's just beautiful things.
Yes, I love it. I love it. They say, like, if somebody could follow you around and see your routine, they would be amazed at how would you complete that? Somebody was like a fly on the wall, you always hear, and they followed you around. What would they be amazed that you are like when you're just yourself?
My resilience.
Wow.
Yeah. And inner force, inner strength.
Yeah, that's such a powerful word, resilience. And I have a friend that, that's her nonprofit is built around that. is like, because of her story, her journey, is that, that resilience muscle, if you would call it that, is, unless you exercise it, it doesn't grow. So, when you go through difficult times, if you just keep going and figure out what you learned through that journey, you're so much stronger in that resilience muscle. So I want to be respectful of your time. So tell our viewers, how can they get a hold of you? And then I have one final question.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much. So yeah, they just can go to my website, which is Núria Bosch, NuriaBosch, .me,
Okay.
nuriabosch.me, and they can just contact me through that. It's the easiest way. I'm also in LinkedIn, I'm also in Instagram and YouTube, but I think that if they contact me through the website, it's better. Yes.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, I have a .me too. And this was like about 5 years ago. My .com expired. Then it was like a couple of days, and I went to get it, and he wanted like $5,000. I was like,
Exactly.
It's not worth that much to me. So I did the .me. So I'm so glad that I've never met anybody that has a .me until you
Here
said,
I
am. Yeah. That's so good. That's so good. So what would be the one thing you would want our viewers to take home from our time on this podcast?
I would say everything is possible. We just need to believe and have trust and faith, and you are worthy.
Oh man, you made my day, you made my week, and I'm just so appreciative for you taking the time to come and be with our community. We have a school community, so we would love for you, we can introduce you, because I know people need to know you. They just need to, because it's, what you've shared on this podcast, and I want to encourage our viewers to share this, because you've got to know, like what you share, you've got to be in touch with gratitude, with the things that you have shared, because life is special, but you can't get caught up in the busyness of, where you're just running and not creating your own life. So thank you so much for being here and spending time with us. We thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it would be a pleasure to be part of your community.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Sounds great. Thanks again, and we appreciate you.